Hey folks, your dad here. Yes, I am aware that I do have to do a Victoria 3 video. Yes, I will probably get to it in January. Of course, I sit down to record this, and wouldn't you know it, I suddenly have a cold. Not so much a cold, but an allergic reaction, if you will. Doing some flooring, don't feel good. Typical dad stuff. But first, I want to tell you what it was like for me at a con that I went to recently. Not so much a Comic Con, but I've never been to one of these convention events. It was actually my very first one, so I thought I'd give you my impressions of it overall and maybe a quick guide for you young people that decide to go. I'm going to divide this into a few sections. First, I want to talk about the anime stuff. To be honest, I haven't watched anime since Dominion Tank Police and Vampire Hunter D on the Sci Fi Channel. Just hearing the Tank Police intro, brings back memories. Could you imagine living in a future where the police are militarized and everyone wore a mask? Oh, wait. Anyway, I don't understand what characters were being portrayed here because everyone was dressing up as different anime characters. I didn't understand it at all, but everyone was very nice. The costumes ranged from meh to very well done. Let me tell you about the gaming and Star Wars experience I had. There were various people, cosplay, I believe the young people call it. There were various people dressed as video game characters and other gaming related things. I saw Final Fantasy cosplayers like Yuna and Lulu from Final Fantasy X. Oh, okay. Speaking of that, this is so cool. I had the opportunity to meet the James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Tidus from Final Fantasy X. Now, of course, he voices many other things, which I'll get to. Anyway, if you haven't watched his podcast, Talking to Myself, it's family friendly. It's a great podcast. He does all the voices and really showcases his talent. So, as I approached James Arnold Taylor, he greets me in his iconic Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Clone Wars series. Hello there. Yes, he's the voice of him in the Clone Wars TV show. I was pretty starstruck, to be honest. But see, I look at him and I turn to my wife and say, look, it's the star player of the Xanarkin Abes. He didn't even bat an eyelash. He is just as friendly and nice a person in real life as you would think from listening to his podcasts. It was one of the main highlights of my time at the con. So, here's the thing. This is so cool. This is the absolute most Star Wars geek out moment happened there. It was totally organic. It wasn't staged or anything. So here's the situation. Mr. Taylor's booth is next to Rosario Dawson and Matt Lauer, who play Ahsoka Tano and Anakin Skywalker, respectively. Okay, so there's like these three booths, there's three lines. As Mr. James Arnold Taylor was getting ready to sign my book, Matt comes over and starts looking for a pen to sign his autographs. You see, his autograph pen had run out, and he wanted one of the ones that Mr. Taylor had. Okay, so meanwhile, Ms. Dawson comes over, and they're talking about how things are going at the con and just being genuinely friendly to each other, which they are friends in real life. So in my mind, though, I see the situation of, yet again, Anakin has lost his lightsaber, and of course the sage that he is, Obi-Wan Kenobi, is once again helping Anakin, all the while Ahsoka is taking everything in and giving old Sky Guy a hard time. It was a complete organic moment of friendship, and I was just speechless. I mean, the wife and I just stood there. We didn't even have words. It was like 15 to 30 seconds, but man, I felt frozen in time. And I think that's why the Clone Wars cartoon series is so good. There's actual chemistry between the actors as far as being friends. It feels real. It carries over into the screen. I got to see all kinds of Star Trek personalities. I watched Terry Farrell interacting with her fans. John Delancey and Jonathan Frakes were laughing it up and smiling with the fans. It was just truly nice. Okay, there were two things that stood out to me about Star Trek, however. The first, I got to sit in on the William Shatner panel. The William Shatner panel is only the kind of experience that you can have hearing William Shatner. It was kind of like Captain Kirk and Denny Crane from Boston Legal rolled into one guy. Frankly, there really wasn't a question and answer thing so much as the man just told us stories about his life and answered questions. At one point, this fellow gets up and lays out the Christian gospel message to Mr. Shatner. There was a audible pause in the auditorium. It was quiet. You could hear a pin drop. So here's how it went down. You know, the central message in Star Trek is infinite diversity and infinite combinations. And that's exactly what happened here. I mean, there were some people who were uncomfortable with this fellow talking to Mr. Shatner, but no one was rude. No one was rude to the man. No one was rude to each other. Mr. Shatner was full of poise and niceness. It was just nice. People were nice. You hear, sometimes you get caught up in the internet stuff of Reddit trolls and people on TikTok, and it was just, people were nice. So the best part of the con for me, though, besides meeting James Arnold Taylor, was meeting David Gerrold, Star Trek's author of The Trouble with Tribbles. Now, if you don't know that, he's the guy behind it. But he's also written some of the best sci-fi that you will have ever read, including The Man Who Folded Himself and the Star Wolf series. Okay, if you have not read these, go read them, then come back. Seriously. His booth was one of the first places I tried to get to. And so here's the situation. As I approached, there he was, sitting with his books and scripts. You probably know I'm a guy who has lots of words, but I'm like, you're him, aren't you? Yes, I am, he replies. So then proceeded the verbal diarrhea of how much his Star Wolf books meant to me and how I think the new Trek has borrowed his ideas about certain character types. He signed a book for me and then answered the most important question you can ever ask the man behind Tribbles, which is, are they based on guinea pigs? He said no, they were based on an Australian rabbit. So I went right to the source and got the answer. Later that day, he had a panel where he talked about his history with Star Trek and what it would take for him to come back, which, by the way, would be an apology and probably some money, and I think that's what needs to happen. Overall, the experience was so much better than everything I thought it could be. As your dad, I'd recommend that you just go and experience it. See a panel, buy stuff, people watch, and above all, it just brought me joy to see nice people being nice. We just need more of that, you know? Okay, this isn't the usual kind of content that's on the channel, but I just couldn't help but share how it went for me. So, that was your guide to cons from your dad. Next year, more stuff. I hope. Maybe. Have a good day.